It's good to be back, mate. I've been chomping at the bit. Last week I was like, yeah, I need to avoid that. It's a bit of an addiction doing this, isn't it? You kind of get used to doing things, talking. And we need to... the good thing is that the season's ended, but it's going to start again really quickly. So we've only got like 8 weeks again until it starts again. So we just need to make sure we're keeping up to things, aren't we? But how are you getting on anyway, buddy? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Just buzzing for Friday.
Can't wait. So excited for Friday. Oh, and it's on BT, isn't it? Which is one little dagger to the heart, but hopefully I can find a pub somewhere that's got it. It's a massive game, isn't it? It's a bit funny. There's a bit of a lull before this game. I think a few Blues, it's kind of sneaking up on a few Blues because obviously the way the season's panned out and stuff like that. But I'm absolutely chomping at the bit. I cannot wait for this. And I'm assuming you're the same.
Well, yeah, I was speaking to a mate of mine. He's a United fan and he's actually wishing us luck, which is very unlikely. I think he's one of them weekend Man United fans who don't want to talk for all the week. But no, he was saying the same. That he's up for it as well, despite being the other half. And it was just to get into your head that how well we did in Madrid. The fact that we could still lose 1-0 and still go through.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't want to lose. We're at home, but it's nice to know that we can afford just to lose the 1-0. But City being City, when we go 1-0 down, it's either we come all guns blazing, firing back, or we just don't turn up.
We have got a comfort blanket, but I'm one of these types of things. I don't want that comfort blanket. I don't want to rely on that because that's just if you play for we're not got Jose Mourinho as a manager. We start doing that for 90 minutes. My heart would be absolutely bouncing out my chest. I can't do that. I cannot.
It just keeps me going back to the Monaco ties. You know, we were well in it, and then just absolute balmy second leg, wasn't it? And what was the final score?
Which one? Sorry.
The aggregate, Monaco, a couple of years ago.
Oh right, yeah, the one where Mendy played this game against City.
Yeah, was it 6-4? I can never remember the aggregate score because it was mental.
5-4, 6-4, definitely.
Yeah, it just I don't know what it is about this game against Madrid that just makes me think that it's going to be one of them where both defences are shocking, but both attackers teams are on fire. I just got that image in my head. I can't see it any other way. I think it's going to be goals galore.
There's a couple of things I can guarantee you. There's going to be more than two. It's definitely not going to be a 0-0 game. I can pretty much guarantee you that. Right. I don't know what odds there are for that, but it'll be an absolute waste of money because that's going to get played out of the water. That's the kind of bet Dan Halifax will put a tenner on.
Yeah.
And he ends up winning $2,000.
He would though. He really would.
Maybe we should come together as the MIB too. Everyone put 50p in, and then we'll split the winnings between each other
on a 0-0 scoreline.
0-0 draw. Or maybe Jesus to score a hat trick.
I won't put money past. Well, he'll be playing left back or right back in the game, won't he?
Obviously, I listened to you talk about Jesus, and I listened to Chris do his morning breakfast show in Laney in the mornings on MIB. You can watch it on YouTube if you want to watch it, guys. And he sells a really good argument. You know, like the Brazil manager saying he plays on the left, was a left-sided winger, and all this type of stuff. And it's kind of drifted me into it, but I still find it hard to believe that he's not an out-and-out striker. But you know, you lads are really selling me now. Actually, Jesus could be the answer on the left, and then we just need to replace. So I'm generally expecting not to play a striker against Madrid. I think we'll play Jesus on the left and just have that false 9 or false 10, whatever Pep plays it.
I think that would work best. The way I see us performing against Madrid best is playing a front three, but with Jesus on the left, but Sterling doing almost a Roberto Firmino type role where he sits back a little bit more than a centre forward would, because then it brings out the Madrid defence. We can get players around them, and then Sterling's there. Sterling needs to adapt his playing style to become the Aguero tapping master. He needs to be, because Jesus hasn't got it. I'll be the first one to admit that, despite me saying I can see him going leaps over barrels this season, and he hasn't really done that. He scored his best scoring season this season, but the way Sterling is and the amount of goals he's got this season, the only thing that's lacking from his overall striker performance is those tapping goals where be like the terrier running. You have to be a yard out. If he was a yard out of the post most games, we'd be 4, 5, 6-0 wins easily. He just needs to adapt that.
It's hard, isn't it, as well? Because Jesus seems to be offside all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So that makes it even tougher.
Yeah, but that's my argument of why he should stay out on the left. Naturally, he plays better on the left. Even when he's the main striker, he always cuts in from the left, and when he does, he always either scores or still finds the target.
Yeah.
The only reason I think left wing is best for him is because then he can look along the line, the full line, and learn to adapt to it. You know, if he's that front man in the centre trying to make those runs and he's still not doing it, he's clearly not adapting to the offside rule. Play him out on the left, he can look down the line and learn when to make the runs, when to read the opposition players and then do the runs.
Yeah, it's funny. David Christie's just mentioned. Hi, Dave. You're okay, pal. He's mentioned that won't Aguero be back in time? I just assumed he won't be. I just automatically assume he won't be because I've not heard any other than watching him in the gym last week and the week before on Instagram. I've seen or heard absolutely nothing for Sergio being fit for this, and I really don't expect him to be. I'd be surprised if he's on the bench. What do you think?
I've not heard anything. From what I heard, it was if we make it as far as semi-finals is when we can realistically see him come back. Right, but okay. all the fixtures are just being shot forward, aren't there? It's one game after the other. So I personally don't see him playing again this year.
Yeah, it was more. You better chance, wouldn't it, if the games are spread over the matter of weeks rather than days. Yeah, really good shout. Dima Nicholson's mentioned Madrid aren't scoring many goals from open play, mostly penalties and set pieces, which is good and bad for us because obviously defensive-wise, we need to be really on our game. I'm fully expecting Laporte and Garcia. I've still not fully made my mind up about the left back and right back yet. I'm gonna post that on the Friday, I think, just to see who's fit. Have you got an idea with what defence you would play?
Walker. If I'm honest with you, you're gonna need to clean your ears out when I say this. Walker, Cancelo, Laporte, and Garcia.
Walker.
Although that's the back four I'd choose, but I can see Guardiola playing Otamendi instead of Garcia. I don't know what it is about it.
Do that. No, I can't. Honestly, I know where you're coming from, but Garcia's been playing too many games consistently with Laporte, building up the relationship now. That seems like the natural three for the back for me is Ederson, Laporte, Garcia. That just gets the feeling of that. Saying that, this is Pep. He'll probably stick Gundogan in there just to really rile you up.
well, again, the past two games Gundogan's played, I've singled him out as one of the best players on the team. You know, I think it was the Arsenal game in the semi-final. Gundogan was our best player, and he took him off first. It just baffled me. It was like that's when I was saying, I think it was to you. It seemed like we were trying to throw the game.
It was.
But it's no. It's a tricky one because I think we all know there's going to be a curveball thrown by Pep. Yeah. I mean, Madrid suffered that the first leg with Jesus playing left back for most of the game, and then, you know, having that influential performance to get us the 3 points in that match. I can see another curveball, and I don't know what it is. There's just an inkling that I believe Otamendi will play just because of the style of play. I think Garcia might be a bit too much for him at the moment. But at the same time, like you said, he's played game in, game out too consistent recently, so drop him. So
look, what we need to do is, as an MIB team, I'll put this on the group message later. I want the first starting 11 from everybody, and we all get a point per starter, and the winner.
Right.
The winner wins. I don't know. Winner wins some toffees.
That's Tom Young winning it all already. I think he predicted every single one in the previous game against Norwich.
Good, that's a rarity, isn't it? I think out of the tens I've had is the most. Ilias has come back to us. Ilias, hope you're well, pal. What do you think of the new away jersey? It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous, mate. I think they've done a fantastic job of the shirts this year. I said that months ago when all the footy headlines started leaking them all. I think the third strip was a bit of an iffy one, but I'm liking that now. I've never ever bought first, second, and third strip, and to be honest, I probably need to remortgage my house to do that, so I won't be doing that this year. Last week, I said, right, okay, from a Christmas present for my kids, I'm going to get the home shirt. Now I've seen the away shirt. It's like, oh, that's beautiful. Oh.
Yeah. See, I've seen nothing but hate online for it. Every time you see it posted by City, there's more than not people hating the design.
What, the away shirt?
All of them at some point. But I personally hated the home strip when it first was shown and announced. I love that kit. more than any kit I've loved in the past 10 years. It grows on you so fast, and the away strip has done that as well. When I first saw that, I was a bit miffed, but then as soon as you look at the design and then you see it profiled on the players, especially Phil Foden, it just suits. It suits to the ground, and it's something different. That's what we've been lacking for all our kits. Every kit is completely different and in their own unique way.
I think they look great. I think the lads that designed it should be very, very proud of themselves, lads and girls. Chris Laney, how we doing, pal? Aguero's been ruled out, has he? That's news to me. I've not heard anything about that. Is that right, Chris? Where have you heard that from, buddy? Obviously, I've been out of the picture for a bit, so yeah, just let me know where that's come from. Where we up here? Caroline Howard from California. Caroline, how we doing? What are you doing over in California? Yeah, we miss Aguero too, Caroline. So yeah, I'll be happy when he's back. I'd very much love to David Christie, Cancelo, Walker, Laporte, Mendy. Oh, really? So he'd put Walker in the centre there with Laporte. I can't see it happening, to be honest, but yeah, I can see where you're going with that.
Bit of pace at the back.
Yeah, a lot of people saying they'll be surprised to see Aguero back fit. It's got every inkling of. I just can't see it. I just can't see it back at all. Don't you think?
The thing is, for me, I kind of hope he doesn't, because we've rushed him back too many times over the past 4 or 5 years, and I think he's become injury prone because of that. Because he's our main man, we want him back as soon as possible. We risk it. I think if we don't go through, we don't go through. Sorry, I'd rather have a fully fit, in full working order Sergio Aguero for the start of the season than rush him back and injure him even more.
Would you not rush him back for a semi-final or final?
If he's up for the final, then definitely I'd throw him in. But me being, well, I wouldn't say the realistic out of all of us, but we have got to get there before we start thinking about that yet.
Yeah,
and just on the basis of where we're at now, I just hope we rest him and just get him back for the start of next season fully fit.
One thing I can guarantee with Pep is if there's any doubt at all, he won't play him, and he'd rather play 100% fit somebody else in that position. Stick Sterling in that position, he can do the job.
Well, you say that. Laporte against Sheffield United back in January, was it? Although that game, he won us that game. But he was out injured for another, 4 or 5 weeks after that.
Kev Sal, top fan. How we doing, Kev? Hope you're well, pal. He thinks he'll play Fernandinho at the back. You know, Pep's, he's never predictable. I'm calling Cancelo, Laporte, Fernandinho, and Walker.
That's a good shout, actually.
Cancelo there. Cancelo at left back. That's interesting. Again, loads of shouts at Cancelo at left back. There's been lots of love for Cancelo at left back, which can pretty much guarantee he won't play. I probably put Mendy there. I think from his last performance, I think he's done an extremely good job. Would I risk him against Real Madrid in that type of role? Now that is a tricky one.
Well, he's got years of Champions League experience now and playing for Valencia as well. He knows Madrid inside out. He could be that double bluff for us.
Yeah, really good shout. Really, can't disagree with that. So tomorrow is the day when all the rumours, all the journalists, everybody except Torres' mother said we were going to get a new signing tomorrow.
Yeah, Ferran Torres.
Nice, I think. Yeah. What's your thoughts on the agreement for that in total?
City Dave brought it up. Tixie has pulled off a blinder there. Believe me, I've done nothing but big Torres up for the past month since it's all just come to foot. I love the guy. He's such a talented player. You know, he broke into their team age 17, and since then he's just risen and risen and risen. And personally, I think he's worth more than Sane was when we bought Sane.
What?
So is it 22 million the full price now?
Oh,
something like that.
And a bit of change.
That is a steal for the player we're getting, and he's still only 20 years old as well. He's got the world at his feet, believe me.
Crikey! I've just seen the Chris Lane has just posted the. Where he's seen about Sergio not being fit for the match, and essentially what Pep has said is someone's asked him the question of how he thinks he'll do, and you know where he's up to with timing for the game and stuff, and Pep replied, "No, I don't think he'll be possible for the timing." So yeah, it looks like he's going to miss out on that. Thanks for sharing that, Chris. Appreciate that, buddy. So that's an interesting one. So you know, Torres coming through I'm really excited to see him play. I genuinely am really excited. By the sounds of it as well, it sounds like he's shoved a load of other clubs to one side to play for City. So I think was it you or Dave mentioned that a player of that calibre coming to City must mean that Pep's going to be extending his contract for another couple of years if he was going to sign. I like the idea of that.
Well, it was me that initially said that. Dave started off the thread. He still doesn't see Pep beyond this year. I said that Torres coming in, Torres wants to play for Pep. That's the reason. He turned down Real Madrid. He turned down Barcelona. Even turned down Man United just because solely it was Pep in charge. And he wants to play under Pep. They're his words. He just wants to play under Pep. Hopefully he wants to play under City as well. But that's the side bit. He's coming to us anyway. But I've said to Dave prior to the Torres deal, I see Pep extending anyway. If you look at the players we're bringing in now, and the calibre of the players in the first team, such as Garcia and Foden, you got that Jan Kuta, who I think is going to play an essential part in the next couple of years. I don't think he's going to be one of these where we loan him out. Pep's here for the long haul for me. Like, I don't mean like signing a new deal that's like an extra 2-3 years. I see Pep being at City for the next 8, 9, 10 years, personally. I think he's now found that focal point. You know, I think not just his career, but his personal life, you know, the tragic loss of his mother during all this pandemic. He's got to thinking now, right, settle down now. I need to build something for myself here. Just have something to focus. He was devoted to his mother.
Do you think that's in Manchester?
That's in Manchester for the time being, unless, and Dave points it out, he becomes national manager of I can never remember. Was it Catalonia? Catalonia, that's how you pronounce it.
This will never happen in a million years. That's like saying Cornwall are going to form their own league. Not going to happen.
Hey, no team would stand the match against bloody Cornwall. I don't know any player that's ever come from Cornwall, to be fair. Nice place, but I don't know any player that's come from it. But no, I see him being here for close to another decade, personally.
I generally hope so. We had on Facebook at Helgard Hoffman. Hope you're well, Helgard. Any updates on Koulibaly? Any updates? I've not seen anything. It's gone all quiet, and you know, it's for me that tells me there's negotiations happening. It's not good news. It's not bad news. Something's ticking away. No news is good news when it comes to contracts, as far as I can see. Is it a lot of money for him? Yeah, it is. Do we need a defender? Yeah, we do. So, you know, we can't really be in a situation where we can be too picky, especially when we've got Ake coming in as well. Ake's supposed to be back end of this week as well. And I think I know certain members of the MIB team aren't 100% pleased with the signing of Ake. Chris, what's your thoughts behind him?
Well, I was the one that put the post out that got everybody slating me. I think personally he's a good defender, but we've had our pants pulled down for that price. People are saying, especially on the page, that yes, he's a good player, and you know there's still a chance Chelsea can come in with the bid, but I think they've rejected the chance to match the bid. I just, you know, he's in a team. He's the central defender. He's the main man in Bournemouth. What you could argue Steve Cook as well. But Ake is the first choice in that back four for Bournemouth. And they were leaking goals. I know it's a team game, but it's like what Laney said. If you fail at your prime job, you'd get sacked just because it's football. It shouldn't be any different. 40 million for a relegated player is a rip-off. Considering we're getting the likes of Ferran Torres for 22 million, who's been playing in the Champions League, who plays for a top team, who I know completely different positions and different teams, but I think the whole fact that it's an English-based team now is why the prices have gone so extortionate. 30 million would have been just about right. That 40 million, even plus that extra 1 million, we've had our pants pulled down personally. Good player, but for the price, no.
I think if you're okay, so let's look at us two being at the negotiating table. Let's put us two in the shoes of.
That's Ruben Diaz locked up already.
Absolutely, 20 million bargain done. I'm thinking you said there 30 million quid would be good for Ake. Okay, so if we spend 30 million quid, so the first thing that could jumps to mind is it's the 10 million is not yours. It's the money, it's the club's money. If they feel that 10 million quid is overpaying, to be honest, City don't overpay. City don't overpay. They've got spreadsheets, they've got database, they've got systems, they've got scouting networks, and they've obviously come to an agreement of 40 million quid. You know as well as I do, when you're buying, when you go to the market and you buy something, someone says, "Oh, it costs a £5, I'll give you £2." You kind of meet in the middle somewhere, don't you? So there's obviously been a bit of jostling somewhere along the lines. And all I keep thinking is it can be counted as it's not an England under 21. What's the word I'm looking for? Not you. Is it you?
Homegrown.
Homegrown. He can't be homegrown as well. Yeah. So he's a Dutch international. He's a young lad. He's obviously got a really high passing record. He's got a 90% pass for a success for a left-sided defender. Do you know what? If it's a gamble for 40 million quid, and there's potential of buying Koulibaly for 80 million quid, who's 6 or 7 years older than him, I think, do you know what? In this day and age for a central defender, if he turns half decent, put it this way, he can't be worse than Otamendi and Stones. I love him to bits, but he can't be worse than them. If you put somebody like, bear in mind, I'm coming from this as a picture of being really neutral, because I have not seen Nathan Ake. I've not seen Nathan Ake play as much as probably you or a lot of the admin team. I only watch City. I don't really watch like other teams on Match of the Day and stuff like that. But I just think to myself, do you know what? If the City hierarchy are happy to pay 40 million quid, it can't be that bad. Saying that, this is the same club that bought Mangala. So
yeah, but it's not that I don't rate him. I do rate Ake. I just think you look at the deal structure of Torres. Tixie has pulled off an absolute bargain there. Nathan Ake, he's worth 30. 40 is a push for me. You know, the only reason I think that is because Bournemouth being relegated, he's their main centre-back. They were leaking goals left, right and centre. He's been out injured a fair bit this season as well. So we've not really seen him top performance. Maybe that's why.
Does that answer your question? Down. If they've been leaking goals, if he's not been playing.
But when he has been playing, there's still been leaking goals. I've never rated
stats. I need to find his stats.
I've never. I don't see him any better than, well, Harry Maguire at a push. I really don't. I honestly don't. Nathan Ake is a good player in his own right.
He's twice as cheap as Harry Maguire.
Well, Harry Maguire's nowhere near the amount United paid for him. They were ripped off as well. Leicester pulled a blinder there. But no, I just think if you look at the other players around the world, yes, some haven't played in the Premier League, so they've got that risk factor to them. But you look at Ruben Diaz, he's got in his contract, I think, that it's about 65 million or something like that. Yes, that's a hell of a lot more than Ake. But we're talking about a lad who's club captain and has been captain of all the junior years. He's now first in line to take over the Portugal captaincy.
Yeah,
he's done it every level. He's played in the Champions League with Benfica. He's their main man. I'd rather take a risk on him, knowing that Benfica, yes, I know it's the Portuguese league, are one of the top teams in Portugal, with him at the helm, with the captain experience, which we are lacking in our team.
Yeah.
And 40 million on Ake, who got relegated with a poor team. You know, and it's just one of them. I don't feel guilty in saying that we're being ripped off, because he is a good player, but I just don't like it at all. I don't know what it is about it, especially with like what.
Oh, hello.
Hey,
Dave. Hey, Dave. You all right, pal?
Doing well.
All right, hello.
How you doing, Dan?
Not too bad. I'm just using some of your words discussing how. Tom doesn't agree with me per se. That I think we've had a pants pulled down over the Ake deal, considering how the deal we pulled off for Torres.
I just feel that if we're going to spend an extra, Dan thinks Ake is worth 30 million. Just out of pure coincidence, I'm on transfer market now. They say his transfer market value is 25.2 million. So City have paid 15 million more than what transfer market are saying there. So for me, I'm thinking to myself, Dave, I don't know if you have markets in Portland, but if I was going to a market and I wanted to buy something, they say cost a £5, I'll say I'll give you £2. You kind of meet in the middle somewhere. And I'm assuming that's a very rough-edged way that City would do things, as most clubs would, to try and do that. But they'll have a set minimum of what a player's worth. And for me, I can't help thinking to myself, he's a young defender, he's big, strong, he's athletic, he's got 90% pass record, successful record. Excuse me, he's got a 90% pass success record, which obviously will pring Pep's ears. I just think to myself, he's homegrown, he won't count in the Champions League squad. So, there's a lot of potential extra value there that we'll be getting for him. It's like buying a car.
God, we've got a Laney analogy coming in.
It's like buying imagine buying a basic Honda, right?
all
and then, right, imagine buying a basic Honda for 10 grand, yeah? And they said, right, okay, we're going to give you £7 worth of extra. You think to yourself, actually, do you see where I'm going with that? We're getting a lot more of what we're actually getting, what we actually spent the money for me. I just think we can't judge. Right, I'll rephrase this. The phrase "getting your pants pulled down." This is a multi-million-pound industry. Our club, and Dave, you're well against the business ethics of our club. So I'm going to try and say my words very carefully here. The commercial side of Manchester City is bigger than any of us three, than what we would know about ever. So if we're going to spend 40 million quid, that's a calculated risk for somebody who's unproven and just got relegated. If he was playing for Everton, if it was another John Stones, we'd be spending 50, 60 million quid. If he was to play for Chelsea, 80, 90. But just because he's got relegated, we shouldn't use that against him, because we should be saying, I'll rephrase this, Dan, the phrase "your pants pulled down." If we get to this point next season, I'm going to put this in my calendar tonight, and if Nathan Acker's in an absolute mare next season, I will turn around and say, Dan, you're spot on. We had our pants pulled down for him. But we just need to give him that little bit of time to just show what he's got.
That's what I don't... When I say pants pulled down, I don't mean that towards Ake. I just mean the price tag. I think the price is just because of the team in the league is the only reason. It's Bournemouth were relegated. He's a defender, the leaked goals. He shouldn't be 40 million. He shouldn't be. If he was playing for Everton and we went in for him for 40, 50 million, I'd understand it, because Everton are a mid-table team and he maybe had been a fundamental part to keep them up. They got relegated. He's the defender. Pull pants down is just because of the price. If we pay 30 million for him, I won't have a problem with it, because I do rate him as a player. Not for 40 million from a relegated team. Not at all. It's just a personal opinion. I've nothing against him. I think hopefully, fingers crossed, he does have a blinder and he can be probably fighting for Laporte on that left side. I just don't see the price that we paid for him at this present time is correct.
I have just put the reminder in my calendar for 1 year's time.
Right.
1 year's time, we'll come back here. And do you know what? Do I say it? Oh, do I say it?
Go on.
I think he'll be a regular starter. I think he's going to really impress.
Where?
I don't know. I think I've got a terrible feeling Garcia's not going to be with us next year.
He's not. I mean, he's not. I mean, everything I'm reading is that he's already made his mind up and he's gonna go. And bringing in more central defenders means Garcia's looking at it and going, well, I was kind of thinking of going back to Barcelona anyway, but now City have basically turned my hand now. Of course I'm going to go, because now Aki's going to be in front of me. And if we bring in yet another central defender, he's even further down the pecking line.
But it's funny, because I see Ake and Garcia, and I would rather start Garcia every day of the week. 100%, just because he looks like a really brilliantly promising young lad. But we brought Ake in, maybe I'm a bit premature that by saying it'll be a regular starter. Maybe a bit premature, but if Garcia and Laporte stay, that's our centre back pairing for the next 7, 8, 9 years, however old.
But why would Ake sign? Why would Pau Torres or Koulibaly or whoever like that sign? If, to your point, Tom, I agree with you. that I would love Laporte and Garcia to be our central defensive partnership for the next 8 to 10 years. So if that's the case, and I'm a player looking at that, I'd be thinking, well, what the hell am I signing for? So this is a vicious circle, really. Garcia's going to look at it from the standpoint of, well, they're bringing in Aki and potentially Pau Torres or Koulibaly or something, so I'm going to be further down the pecking line. And then those players are also thinking, well, what the hell am I signing for? Because we've got Laporte, who's not going to get out the team. And then you've got Garcia, who's one of the most promising centre-backs in the world. Well, how am I going to get a game? I'm going to be playing cup games.
But would you not expect to, whenever you sign for City, you've got to expect to be in the rotation, haven't you? You're not signing for a low team.
But here's the inherent problem, Tom, which I keep going on about over and over and over and over again. We've got Otamendi and Stones.
Yeah.
And until they make a decision on what's happening with those two, what the hell are we doing going out and buying new centre-backs until we have Garcia's contract sorted out? Is he staying or is he going? If he's going, of course we need to bring in someone else. I get it. But what about Otamendi and Stones? Because this is what annoys me so much about our negotiations, that we bring in Aki, who, whatever that amount is, I do agree with Dan on we're overpaying for him anyway. But it means that we bring in two players, and it means that Roma or whoever else are going to be rubbing their hands thinking, God, we can get Stones now, we can get Otamendi for free or for 2 million because we've bought before we've sold. So it puts us in a less decent position to get decent value for those players. And what if they're not going anywhere? You don't even want to get rid of Stones. You think he's still got a future at City. So what does it say to Stones as well if we're bringing in Aki? Garcia is now cemented as probably the starting centre-back, and now we're bringing in possibly another one on top of that. Stones is going to be like, well, what the hell do I do?
I don't ever remember saying I wanted Stones to stay.
I thought you did, but
no, sorry,
there's someone in the team who does.
No, it must have been. But for me, I just automatically assumed they were going. And it's funny you say that, because I just and nothing's been proved, nothing's been said. There's been no rumours about them going anywhere. I just automatically assume when you bring in another one that those two are going to go. How bonkers is that?
But I just think personally they're doing it completely the wrong way. This should be, let's maximize the value of Otamendi and Stones, try and get 25, 30 million for Stones, try and get 5 million if we can for Otamendi. And then we've paid for Aki essentially, because it won't be 41 million up front. It will be 27 million and then the 40 million.
I completely get that. But sorry, mate, I'm going to have to be devil's advocate here. I really am sorry. But that's the ideal world. That's the ideal situation. There's nothing to say that over the last 2-3 months that nobody's come in for Stones and Otamendi. And if no one's coming in for them and we're trying to flog them, if we have to wait before we sell them and we miss out on an Ake or Koulibaly or potentially a Garcia signing, we don't want to miss out on those types of signings, do we? Even if the other two players are sort of stalling. Do we know when their contracts run out?
I think Otamendi's got one more year, and I think Stones has got 2 more years. And I think this all went away when the whole Newcastle takeover just completely collapsed last week. Yeah. I think that was going to be one of their marquee signings, so to speak. It sounded likely that they wanted to, get an established England international up there. All I'm hearing now is potentially Leeds, on loan, but that's gone pretty quiet.
Hey, I tell you what, nothing to make me feel better than Stones going somewhere and getting regular first team football, whether that's loan or permanently. I really rated the lad when he came forwards, and he's had a lot of issues. So I want him to go and I want him to play. I want him to do well. Not against us, obviously, but if that's a loan move to Leeds or wherever it might be, scoring a header against United and Liverpool, I'm quite happy with that.
I think Laney down last week on the chat kind of had that idea of letting him go out on loan for 1 year with a 25 million buyback, a 20 million buyback clause, or something like that. And if we don't bring him back, then it goes up £5 million or something like that every year. Like, try and do some deal for Stones where we would get the option to buy him back if he can turn his career around, which I really want him to do. He's an England international. I'd much rather have a really good John Stones in the middle for England than bloody Maguire every day of the week.
Yeah, I've never known a professional to go out on loan halfway through their career and come back to the main club. Though, have you?
I'm not, but I'm just, to Laney's point, he was just trying to say, look, maybe he just needs to get a year away and be the main man at a club like Leeds.
Yeah, I see that.
Get his confidence back, and then we could turn around and go, good job, right, now come back.
Yeah, and it was like what I said on the previous one. I think it was about 3 or 4 podcasts ago, saying if he goes to Leeds, it would be the perfect move for him. It's Yorkshire territory. He's a Yorkshire lad back with his people, so to speak, closer to his family. Leeds are the type of club that no matter who you are, you could be one of the worst players at the club. They're still going to cheer you on every step of the way. And I think it'll be the dream move for him, even if it's a permanent move. And I'd be quite happy with that. If we eventually sold him, use Leeds as an example. If we eventually sold him for 20 million, we've taken a 30 mil loss, but still have that buyback clause, which we've done with so many other teams recently. We may never use it. He may never want to come back to City, but at least the option's there that we can discuss it. Like I agree with you, Dave. I hope he comes back to his best. I really do. I still personally think he does. A few months ago, I was rooting for him to stay at City and make a name for himself, but I wasn't expecting the rise of Garcia and the potential signing of Ake, which I completely agree has just lodged him right down the pecking order. And who's to say we're not going to go in for another top centre-back to partner if Garcia's out? Because I don't see Laporte and Ake, 2 left-sided centre-backs, playing alongside each other with Stones being that main man.
I really think we're going to get another one.
Yeah.
I keep hearing Pau Torres, who I would love. Yeah. And, I'm still hearing rumours about Koulibaly, and I really don't want him, not only for the money, but I just think he's too old. I think Pau Torres is a Guardiola type of player.
Yeah.
And I think it's neat. And I wanted to pick up on something you said before, Tom, about Nathan Ake. He is not a big player. He is 5'11", and for a centre-back, that isn't big. He's only 5'11", and we need a big bastard at the back, like a Van Dijk. That we get hammered, and that's one of the reasons Fernandinho struggled in that role. I think he did as best as he could as centre back, but he's 5'8" and 11 stone. He's getting battered. We need a big lump of a fella, who can play football a bit at the back. And I don't think Ake's it. He might play pretty football, but it's not going to help us in those battling hard games against the Sheffield Uniteds and whoever else.
I'm glad you said that. Perfect timing for me to cut into this, because Kev Sal sent me through his stats summaries. So basically, this season, aerial battles won. I've got a list of all the teams of the games he's played, and the aerial battle numbers is 1. So aerial battles against Spurs 2, 1 against United. He had a poor game there. 3 against Newcastle, 3 against Wolves. These are where he's won a header in the penalty, in a defending position. 5 against Crystal Palace, 3 against Liverpool, 4 against Chelsea, 6 against Sheffield United. Obviously, the long ball merchants. And he does go on. So he obviously can leap. He's obviously salmon-like.
Is he an imposing presence? And that's what we miss.
Yeah, agreed.
He's not an imposing. Vincent Kompany, absolutely imposing presence. You just knew he had something about him when he walked on the pitch. You put the John Terrys, you put the Van Dijk in that kind of category. Just big fellas who can play football. Nathan Ake, I'm sorry, he might be a decent footballer. He's from Holland, or always produce nice footballers. I don't think he's right for City, and I'm agree with Dan. I don't know where he's going to get a game apart from in cup games, because he's not going to dislodge Laporte unless he's injured.
What's is Pau Torres right-footed?
Yes.
Yes.
That's okay. I'm assuming Koulibaly is as well. Then we're getting Ake.
I believe so. Yeah.
So yeah,
and he's half the price Pau Torres from Villarreal. I think they want about 35, 40 million for him, and that for me is a Pep Guardiola kind of signing. Younger, he's got a few games under his belt, but he can mold him into what he needs.
I won't mind
That's what he's going to
seeing.
do with Ferran Torres. I can't see him doing that with Nathan Ake because he's already 25, 26.
I wouldn't mind seeing Laporte's old teammate Unai Nunes from Athletic Bilbao there. He is a bastard. From what I've seen of him, he hardly touches the ball, but he'll win it back just for sheer strength. Whether that will work in our league, because, you know, you can win a penalty in the opposition half from a bit of breath from your mouth. You know, that came out completely wrong. You know what I mean, though?
I know it was a different era, Tom, but Joe Royal brought in Andy Morrison for what, 80 grand from Huddersfield? But it's what we needed. He was that absolute presence. He was a voice in the dressing room, and everyone was scared shitless of him because he was built like a rugby
yeah, we're
player.
definitely missing that. We're missing that from the captain's prospects, from the defensive prospects. We need a hybrid company. Van Dijk to come in and
that's why me and Dan have been saying about, you know, even up front, a Troy Deeney, you know, or you know, and the Akin Wemfer or whatever his name is, that guy at at Wickham. Just as in, we need more of a presence on the field, and I think that's what me and Dan are saying at the back. That we play beautiful football, but it gets us into trouble.
I never said Akin Fenway, and I'm completely against that. That was Laney and Laney alone, but Deeney definitely.
But yeah, as in just having that someone who can battle, and get their elbows in, rather than it all being so pretty. That's all I'm saying, and I don't think Aki's that type of player. It's going to be beautiful football again, rather than what happens when the going gets tough.
Yeah. Your fear is Ake will be another Otamendi or John Stones in 2 years' time.
He'll be absolutely another John Stones.
I don't think he is. I still think he's got the caliber. The only thing I've got against Ake is the price tag. I think he can do it at City if given the chance. And I think it just depends on what Pep has in mind, because he obviously has a say in the players that come in. Ake is obviously wanted by him. He's a left-foot-sided centre-back, but so is Laporte. Unless one of them can suddenly have a dramatic change to their playing style and play on the right, I don't see him playing. But as soon as he gets a look in, you know, it matters to Pep.
Does it matter that much if they're left or right-footed at centre-back?
Oh, God, for Pep, yeah. When we signed Laporte, the main reason we signed Laporte was because he was left-footed. We were lacking that side. You know, we had all the defenders in the club were all right-footed. It mattered to Pep massively when we signed Laporte, just mainly because of his left foot and his ability with his left foot.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a pretty much done deal to me, but I don't know. I think they've missed a step here. I think we need to sort out Otamendi's future. I think we need to definitely sort out Stones, and we need to sort out Garcia's. And I was listening before. I do agree with Dan, I think, and I think Guardiola is going to stay longer. I find it hard to believe that someone like Ferran Torres, who's been targeted by the Juves and Reals, etc., has not turned around to Guardiola and said, all right, I do want to come and play for Manchester City and play under you, but what's the point if you're only going to be here for the next 12 months? I sincerely believe, it's obviously not out in the media yet, that Guardiola's going to stay longer. I think he wants to see Torres, hopefully Garcia, but I doubt it. Foden, Harwood Bellis, Doyle, etc. flourish. Why would you leave after in the next 12 months when you've got these shining lights coming through?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Are you two at all worried that you're underestimating what Ake can do for us?
I'm not. I think he can make a name for himself if he's given the opportunity.
Think of it this way, Tom. Like, I was just looking at his stats now. This is a 20. How old is he now? So he's 25. He'll be 26 in February. The guy's only played, and he's 25, 171 league games.
Okay.
That's it. That's not a lot of
4
experience.
seasons, five seasons.
So he played 17 games for Chelsea over 5 seasons, and then he played in the Championship for Reading, played 5 games, 28 games for Watford in the Premier League, and then he's done.
Played for Watford?
Yeah, he played for Watford on loan in the 15-16 season. Ooh. And then it's obviously Bournemouth where he's made his name. In 3 seasons, he's 30, 70, 120 games with cup games as well for Bournemouth. I just feel of someone that age, and he's done 13 caps for Holland. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough experience for what we need. I honestly don't.
Seen something somewhere. There's a scouting network set up for City. They've obviously seen it is worth spending 40 million. So they've seen something that we've not. There's got to be something there that's making the City hierarchy think, you know what, he's going to be a good shout.
Could be, and I'm still surprised that because Chelsea have got the buyback and Chelsea have said no. I mean, they are building a team at Chelsea, in my opinion. They're going to be a real force next season. I'm very surprised that if he's that good, why aren't they bringing him back to Chelsea? And they've just, no, it's fine. We don't want him.
That is a big question mark, actually, Dave. That's a really good shout. If he was as good as what the potential is, I don't know what their defence looks like at the minute. I can't.
So who did they have? I mean, I love that. It's Tomaroy, isn't it? The England under-20 international.
Tomori, Rudiger, Zuma, Aspilicueta, and who's the other one that plays for him? He'll come to me, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Zuma's been all over the place on loan, hasn't he? And if they're thinking, no, we'll keep Zuma, we'll keep Zuma, we don't need Aki, that speaks volumes to me. I just don't think it's the right signing.
Or it could be Ake saying, actually, I don't want to play for you anymore. If you have my buyback. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Time will tell, gentlemen. In either case, Dan's going to be singing in the shower in a year's time.
I've got about 5 of them lined up, apparently, all the other times, but not on this one. Not on this one.
Yeah.
Dave,
I hope I'm proved wrong.
So, any thoughts on Madrid, Dave?
So I listened before. I've got my team sorted out, and I think this is going to piss off Halifax a lot. But
hang on, let me make a note of this because I'm going to basically you get a point per correct player.
All right. I think Gundogan's going to play because I think that's what Guardiola's like in the big games, and he likes that. Dan, I completely agree with you, but it's Pep. I'm going off what I think Pep's going to pick, not what I would pick. I've gone Ederson, Walker, Garcia, Laporte, Cancelo. I think that will be. I agree with Dan. I think that will be our back 5. I think he's going to keep with it. Played well against Norwich. I think that's what he's going to go with. Few lapses in concentration. I think he's going to put Rodri and Gundogan as defensive midfielders. I think he's really going to shore up defensively. Then he's going to have Sterling on the right, KDB and Silva kind of interchanging.
Which Silva?
David Silva, Merlin, attacking midfielders. And then I think Jesus will be up front because, Aguero's not playing. So it's not the team that I would pick, but I think that's what Pep's going to go with.
Go on, Dan. Do you know yours to hand?
I do, sort of, yeah. Ederson, obviously. Are we doing it what we think Pep will choose or what we prefer? Because if that's the case...
What do you think the starting lineup will be? That's
Ederson, Walker, Cancelo, Otamendi, Laporte.
That's a big call, that.
You think you'll play Otamendi over Garcia?
Yeah.
Point gained for me. Go on.
Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva in midfield.
Wow, you're going for Bernardo.
Hang on, Rodri, De Bruyne, De Bernardo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Mahrez on the right, Sterling on the left, play Sterling more central throughout the game, but Sterling on the left and Jesus up front.
And is that yours, Dan, or is that who you think Pep's going to pick?
Pep's going to pick, yeah. If it was me picking, I'd choose Ederson, Walker, Cancelo, Garcia, Laporte, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and De Bruyne. I wouldn't have David Silva. Just purely on the basis of the past couple of games, De Bruyne and David Silva have not really played off each other. And I'd play Jesus on the left, Sterling up front, and I'd still play Mahrez on the right.
Oh, blimey, Charlie!
Isn't it funny that how the mighty have fallen? None of us are talking about Fernandinho. I know he's got another year at City, but he's barely played, hasn't he, since the restart? And he just seems to have, I don't know if fallen out of favour is the right term, but it seems Rodri's the man now for that defensive midfield, and we've got centre back sorted out with Garcia. So,
well, it's like what we were discussing in the previous podcast we were on, Dave. So I think Fernandinho's midfield time is over now. I don't think he's got the pace. I think he's been at centre back too long now to re-wrap his mind around midfield. I mean, yeah, we are talking about arguably one of the greatest defensive midfielders the Premier League's ever seen, and he was. You could argue. I just think centre back now is his place, but he's not going to get ahead of Garcia. He's not going to get ahead of Laporte. I think he's just going to be utility now until he hangs up his boots. I don't think he'll move anywhere else, but I think he'll see out his contract at City as that backup centre back if needed. Maybe the odd push into defensive midfield, but I think Gundogan's got that now unless he has a sudden move.
Yeah. I really think Gundogan's starting this game on Friday.
He definitely is. I would
just a pet player, isn't he?
I'd put 100 quid on that.
Yeah.
Without question. He'll start alongside Ederson.
In that case, I'll hold the money because I'll be 100 quid up by the end of the game. Then.
You don't know Pep very well if you don't think he's starting on Friday.
I do. Remember when I was saying play Jesus out on the left and he did a couple of games after I said it? He listens to me.
Stanley was injured.
Wow.
Do you know what, Dave? I would pick your team, but the only thing I'm questioning, I keep thinking to myself, he'll play Bernardo, but then David Silva. I think David Silva and his record and his form. It's a tough one this because I don't know why, but I could just see Sterling being up front.
Yes,
I just got this inkling that Sterling's going to be counter-attacking.
Could be right there. I mean, honestly, Dan, if there's ever a game where we need all that experience of someone who's been there and done it, World Cup winner, 2 European Championships, this game for me is tailor-made for Merlin, of just being that influence on the pitch of, look, we're already winning, just don't let them score, just calm down, let's play our game, let's get a quick goal. I think this is tailor-made for him to have an influence on it. I'll be amazed if he doesn't start the game.
Do you think there's anywhere for Foden to start in this?
Too big a game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not that he couldn't do it, but I think it's too big a game.
There's bigger game players in front of him, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Just to go back to your David Silva point, Dave, I see him playing a part, but if I was Pep, thinking about how Madrid are going to come out, Madrid, knowing that they have to win by 2 goals or more to go through, or at least take it to stretch time penalties, they're going to be all guns blazing, every single one of them. I think the pace David Silva has, he's going to be more defensive midfield for much of that game, unless we have a blinder, which I don't see us having straight off. We're a passing team. We ain't going to be straight out the docks, knowing that we have that lead. I think Bernardo is going to be that key man in midfield if he plays. We saw him do it against Liverpool last season. He ran that midfield. We need someone with that pace and ability to get back, counteract the play, get it back up. David Silva's not that. He's all about attacking and creative play. Bring him on midway through the second half when Madrid are a bit more depleted, the game's settled down, know each other, they're feeling each other out. When you've got Jesus and Sterling still, they're game fit now. throughout that game. Merlin picking out the perfect ball now, or at least being able to hold that line so De Bruyne can get a bit more forward on the right, which is what happens. Silva can still be that instrumental figure. If he starts, I don't see us winning. I don't see us playing as well with him starting rather than coming on for the bench, just so we can work shy that Madrid team with Bernardo in. It's a tricky one. It's like we always say, though, isn't it?
Do you? Well, let me ask you this, Dan and Tom. Do you think that we might set our stall out a little bit cagey? Because to Dan's point, that they need to win by 2 goals and not let us score. Because it always concerns me with Manchester City if we ever set our stall out to try and, defend and nick a goal. I've always felt we should just play our natural game, always. Yeah. And if that's the case, and when we play our natural game, you have to have David Silva in there. That would be my argument. I would hate us to try and play a little bit more defensively here, but invite Real Madrid to come and attack us, because we've never been a good team at that.
But that's my argument with the Bernardo. David Silva won't do that much tracking back. It'll be De Bruyne. And I always go back to my same point this season, and you could argue last season as well. City only play well when De Bruyne is in the team, when he's playing well. If he's having to stay back and doing more defensive work with Silva up front, I'm not saying Silva won't do a job for us. We're talking about one of City's greatest, if not the greatest ever player. I'm not deluded to that fact. But if De Bruyne has a bad game, the rest of the team, they're not going to be on the same wavelength. De Bruyne and Silva, which one of them two is going to do more tracking back? You put your money on De Bruyne every time because he's done it more often. You have Bernardo Silva running that midfield, running around. De Bruyne can push up. Then we can play a natural game. If you've got De Bruyne tracking back, Madrid are going to be all over us and not let De Bruyne get further up the field, which means then we're pointless. We're just going to play long balls or hopeful balls forward. We're going to have Kyle Walker booming on the right, which means then he'll be out of position if we lose the ball. And then you've got De Bruyne tracking back anyway.
He does so many miles.
Good point.
You know what? Bernardo and De Bruyne, they do so many miles for the game, don't they? They do so many T miles. It's ridiculous. Is there anything to be said for putting 3 at the back? A Fernandinho, Garcia, Laporte with Walker and Cancelo.
He did it in the first leg with Jesus playing on the left wing, didn't he?
I just redone my formation. I put Ederson. The problem is Garcia's left-footed.
Right.
Is Garcia right-footed?
I'm sure he is.
So you can have Laporte, Garcia with Fernandinho in the middle. You can have Cancelo at left back, Walker at right back, obviously wing backs, with KDB and Ilkay playing in front of them two. So kind of the wing backs can kind of pull in and bomb on depending on what they do. With a front three of three forwards of Sterling, Jesus, and David, just floating and attacking. Something's going to happen. It's not going to be a standard formation for Pep on Friday. And I'm trying to second guess myself to saying, right, okay, well, if it was me and I wanted to defend this lead, but also counter attack as well, what would I do? Yeah. And I think 3 at the back and dropping Fernandinho. I can see, Dave, I just got this inkling that he's going to drop Fernandinho in there now you've said that. I just got this funny feeling that he's going to do something surprising and just drop Fernandinho in there and say, right, come on, you're the senior man, be the boss, be the big man, be the captain, be the big player, whatever it might be. Is it too much of a risk for him to do?
I mean, it's just it doesn't matter if we have the stingiest defense in the world. You put them in a blue shirt, they just fall to pieces. It's just not our game of trying to defend a lead. We just can't do it.
100%.
We can't do it. I would just, if there's ever a team that has to play the natural game week in, week out, it's Manchester City. And we can't. We've got to go out on Friday, and in my opinion, we've got to get a quick goal if we've got any chance of winning this game. We need a quick goal because they're just going to be panicked.
There's a lot to be said about it. City versus City in this game, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which City's going to be coming out to fight for this?
But that is the perfect way of putting it. City versus City. It is down to us. It's in our hands. If we play our normal self, like Dave's saying, we will see ourselves through to the next round. If we're doing that defending, if we're playing that more defensive lineup, we're inviting it on, and like Dave says, we ain't going to stand that cat and hell's chance.
Yeah, and you never know. We might, Benzema's having an absolute season here. He might have a player who just tells him, to man mark Benzema out of the game. Because I think if we get him out of the game, I think we've got every chance of going through. And Dan might be right. It might be a Bernardo Silva, it might be a Gundogan, and Pep might just turn around and say, wherever Benzema goes on this field today, just follow him. Just don't let him get the ball. I just feel if we can get him out of the game, we've got every chance of going through.
And that's why I've chosen that midfield, because then you've got the attacking presence of De Bruyne, you've got the defensive midfield of Rodri, then you've got that workhorse in midfield picking out those players such as Benzema and stopping that play, which is how it works.
This is so exciting, isn't it? We've got such a game on our hands this Friday, lads. The game of our season on Friday.
Yeah,
it's massive, and it's and that's why I keep thinking that David Silva's going to start, simply because it is such a huge game, and he's been there and done it, and hopefully he'll be able to calm down because KDB is going to be totally wound up for this game.
Yeah,
he's going to be completely red-faced and freaking at it, and it's going to need someone to tell him just calm it down, play your game. And I think the other thing we need to do in this game is we need to be pinging every shot that we can in.
Yeah.
25, 30 yards in the box, whatever. It doesn't matter if it doesn't go in. Just with intent, just keep shooting this ball at a goal and see what happens.
We have got the players with a cracking right and left foot as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
To get it on target. So
it
just takes one deflection, one bobble, one spit off the ground, one bit of turf missing, and it's a goal. So I'm all up for that, mate. You see the whites of the goalkeeper's eyes, have a shot.
And that's what Jesus is really good at, probably better than Aguero at, is picking up those little parries from the goalkeeper or off the post or whatever else. He can sniff things like that out. So they need to be hitting it from everywhere and seeing what happens.
But I was saying to Tom as well, before you jumped on, Dave, the thing that Sterling needs to bring to his game is that terrier-like presence Aguero does, where you get close to the penalty box, close to the goal, and find those tap-ins. Jesus needs to do that as well. He's been, I'm not complaining, but he's doing more of the work effort finding a goal rather than just being that, like Sterling was a couple of seasons ago. Sterling was tapping in every little ball, bar that odd one, I think it was against Palace, where he was like a millimetre out and still managed to smash it wide. That is what Jesus needs to do. Whichever one, whoever's centre forward, they need to be that terrier and get into the box. We're going to have balls, like you say, whipped in left, right, game in, game out. Need to have that terrier, knock it in. Doesn't have to be a worldie, scruffy as you like, as long as it finds the back of the net.
You know what? And that header he scored against Madrid in the first game.
Yeah.
Did any of us think that was going in when he touched it? I didn't. And before he knew it, it bounced and the net rustled. I was like, how has he managed to get that on target? So, he can do it. I've got every faith he can do it. Just try not to be offside, please.
Yeah.
Please. Right, I think we'll leave it here, lads, unless anyone else got anything to add.
Score predictions?
Not touching that one with a barge pole.
No, me either.
No, I'm not touching that. Nope, you're not either.
No, I'm not doing it.
I am. I'm going to push the boat out. 2-0 City win.
Yeah. Blues.
2-0 clean sheet. Edison's going to have a blinder. And Jesus to get both goals.
You should put a fiver on that, Dan. You might get pretty decent odds on that.
I'm putting a tenner on it, mate. I believe it.
Go after Halifax on that, mate. He'll be well up for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm nervous. Right, we need to stop this. I feel a bit sick now. Got butterflies. Right, lads. I'll speak to you in the next couple of days.
All right.
Go on, boys.
Later.
Go on, City. See you later.
Bye. See you later, bud.